Welcome to Emma's English. Hey, English learners, welcome back to Emma's English Talk, your cozy little place to learn real, everyday English through natural conversations. I'm Emma.
And I'm Tom. It's so great to be here with you today for another fun chat.
Today, we are talking about a very small but super common daily life problem that I think almost everyone experiences.
Oh, I love these topics. What is the mystery problem for today, Emma?
Well, have you ever sat down on your comfortable sofa on a Friday night, ready to watch a great movie, only to find yourself fighting with the remote control the entire time?
Wait, do you mean because the volume is never right?
Exactly. That is exactly what I mean.
Oh, that is my biggest daily frustration. I thought I was the only person who did this.
You are definitely not alone, Tom. It is a huge struggle for millions of people around the world.
It really is. You turn it up to hear what the actors are saying, and then a second later, an explosion happens and your ears start to hurt.
Yes, it is like a constant game of trying to find the perfect volume, but the perfect volume does not exist.
It is so true. You are constantly pressing the volume up button and then immediately pressing the volume down button.
It makes watching a movie feel like a physical workout instead of a relaxing activity.
It really does. I feel like I need to keep my thumb on the remote control the whole time.
I do the same thing. I hold the remote in my hand like a video game controller, ready to react at any second.
That is a perfect description. It's like we are playing a game where we have to protect our ears from sudden loud noises.
And it's not just about protecting our ears. Sometimes it's about not waking up other people in the house.
Oh, yes. If you live with roommates, a partner, or if you have children sleeping in the next room, it is terrifying.
It really is. You feel like a secret agent trying to watch a movie without making any noise.
But then, of course, you cannot hear a single word of the conversation, so you have to turn it up again.
And then the action scene starts and it feels like a whole rock band is playing in your living room.
I always worry that my neighbors are going to knock on my door and complain about the noise.
I have actually had that happen once. It was so embarrassing because I was just trying to watch a quiet drama.
Really? A drama? That is funny. You would expect that to happen with an action movie, not a drama.
I know, but the music in the background was just so loud compared to the speaking voices.
It is a real design mystery. Why do movie makers do this to us?
We should definitely talk about that today because there are actually some interesting reasons for it.
I would love to know why. It seems like a very bad choice for home viewers.
We can look at why it happens and also talk about some of the funny ways we try to solve it.
That sounds like a wonderful plan. I have a lot of stories about this.
I am sure you do. Let us start by looking at how this struggle actually begins when we press play.
Yes, let us dive into the details of this daily volume battle.
For me, it always starts during the very first scene of a movie or a television show.
Me too. Usually the opening scene has some loud music or sound effects to get your attention.
So, naturally, you set the volume to a low level because you don't want it to be too loud.
Right. You think, okay, level 12 is perfect for this music.
But then the music stops and two characters start talking in a quiet room.
And suddenly, you can't hear anything they're saying.
You see their lips moving, but it sounds like they are just whispering.
So you press the volume up button. 12, 14, 16, 18.
Finally, at level 20, you can hear them perfectly.
But you know that this piece will not last long.
Exactly. You know that a car chase or a fight scene is coming soon.
And when it comes, it's like a bomb goes off in your apartment.
You scramble to find the remote control under the cushions.
It's a moment of pure panic.
It really is. Your heart rate actually goes up.
And then you quickly press the volume down button back to 12.
And then the cycle starts all over again.
It's an endless loop of volume adjustments.
I think the biggest problem is when the actors mumble during the serious scenes.
Mumble? Can you explain what you mean by mumble, Emma?
Yes, of course. When people mumble, it means they speak very quietly and not clearly. So it is very difficult to understand their words.
Ah, I see. Yes, many modern actors seem to do that. They whisper their lines to sound more dramatic.
Exactly. They want to show deep emotion, so they speak in a very low, soft voice.
But when we are watching at home, that quiet whisper is almost impossible to hear over the sound of our living room appliances.
Like the refrigerator or the air conditioner humming in the background?
Yes, those small everyday sounds easily cover up those whispered words.
So we are forced to turn the volume up very high just to understand the story.
And then, without any warning, the scene changes to an action sequence.
And the sound effects suddenly blare through the speakers.
Blare? What does blare mean in this situation?
When sound effects blare, it means they make a very loud, sharp, and noisy sound that is very sudden and unpleasant.
Ah, yes, like a car horn or a big explosion that suddenly starts playing at full volume.
Exactly. It is a very aggressive sound that makes you jump out of your seat.
It is so jarring. 1 second you are listening to a quiet whisper, and the next second, music and explosions blare at you.
It really makes me feel on edge during the whole movie.
On edge? That is an interesting phrase. What does it mean to feel on edge?
When you feel on edge, it means you feel nervous, tense, or worried, and you are unable to relax because you are waiting for something bad or sudden to happen.
That is a perfect description of how I feel. I am always waiting for the next loud noise.
Yes, instead of relaxing and enjoying the story, you are constantly tense and holding your breath.
It ruins the whole experience of watching a film.
It really does. I wonder if this happens because movies are made for big cinemas instead of living rooms.
That is actually a very good point, Emma. Cinemas have amazing sound systems with many speakers.
Yeah, they have speakers on the walls, on the ceiling, and behind the screen.
So in a cinema, they can play quiet whispers and loud explosions, and it sounds great because the space is huge.
But when that same sound design is played through 2 tiny speakers on a normal television, it just does not work.
The small speakers cannot separate the quiet voices from the loud sound effects.
So everything gets mixed together and we are left with the volume struggle.
I read an article about this recently, and it said that sound engineers mix the audio for the best possible speakers.
Which means they don't really think about the average person watching on a cheap television at home.
Exactly. They want the movie to sound artistic and dramatic in a movie theater.
But most of us watch movies on our sofas, often late at night when we are tired.
Yes, and late at night we want to relax, not feel like we're in the middle of a war zone.
I also think that modern televisions have speakers that face backwards or downwards.
Wait, really? The speakers face away from us?
Yes, because televisions are so thin now, there is no space on the front for speakers.
Wow, I did not know that. That explains so much.
So the sound actually bounces off the wall behind the television before it reaches your ears.
No wonder the voices sound so muffled and unclear.
Yes, the sound is traveling away from you first, which makes understanding speech even harder.
And that is why we're always turning up the volume to hear the dialogue.
But the loud sound effects bounce off the wall too, and they become even louder and more chaotic.
It is a terrible system. It feels like we cannot win this battle.
I have tried to solve this by using subtitles all the time now.
Really? You use subtitles even when the movie is in English?
Yes, I do. It's the only way I can understand what is happening without changing the volume every minute.
I have started doing that too, but sometimes I feel like I'm reading a book instead of watching a movie.
I know what you mean. Your eyes are constantly looking at the bottom of the screen.
Yes, and you miss the beautiful acting and the visual details of the scene because you're just reading text.
That is true, but it's better than missing the story completely because you can't hear the words.
I guess that's a choice we have to make. Do we want to read or do we want to play the remote control game?
It's a difficult choice. My friend actually hates subtitles because she says they ruin the jokes.
Oh, because you read the punchline before the actor actually says it?
Yes, exactly. The text appears on the screen a second before the actor speaks, so the surprise is gone.
That is a very good point. It completely ruins the timing of comedy movies.
But if you turn the subtitles off, you might not hear the joke at all.
So you're stuck between reading the joke too early or not hearing it at all.
It's a classic television dilemma.
Do you think this problem is worse in modern movies compared to older ones?
Oh, definitely. Older movies have much clearer dialogue.
Why is that? Did they use different technology back then?
Yes, and they also had different acting styles. In older movies, actors were trained to speak very clearly, like theater actors.
That makes sense. They didn't whisper as much as they do now.
And the background music was much simpler, so it didn't compete with the voices.
Now every movie has a massive orchestral soundtrack that plays during almost every scene.
Even when characters are just having a simple conversation in a kitchen, there's dramatic music playing.
It's like they're trying to make every single moment feel incredibly important.
But it just makes it harder for us to hear what they're saying.
I find myself getting quite frustrated when I have to watch something with a lot of action.
Me too. I often choose to watch simple sitcoms instead of big movies just to avoid the volume struggle.
Sitcoms are great for that because they're usually recorded in a studio with very consistent sound levels.
Yes, the voices are always loud and clear, and there are no sudden explosions.
It's much more relaxing to watch after a long day of work.
But we shouldn't have to avoid big movies just because of sound levels.
We really shouldn't. We pay for these streaming services, so we should be able to enjoy all kinds of shows.
I agree. It's a problem that technology should have solved by now.
You would think that smart televisions would have a setting to fix this automatically.
Some of them do, but in my experience, those settings don't really work very well.
What kinds of settings are you talking about?
Well, many TVs have a feature called Night Mode or Dialogue Booster.
Oh, I think I've seen those in my television settings menu.
They're supposed to make quiet sounds louder and loud sounds quieter.
That sounds like exactly what we need. Does it not work?
It helps a little bit, but it often makes the sound quality feel very flat and strange.
Like the music loses its power and the voices sound like they're coming through a telephone?
Yes, exactly. It ruins the beautiful sound design of the movie.
So we have to choose between bad sound quality or constantly adjusting the volume.
Yes, it's another compromise that we have to make.
It seems like there is no perfect solution to this problem.
Not yet, but people keep trying different things to make it better.
What else have you tried besides subtitles and television settings?
I actually tried using headphones for a while.
Oh, wireless headphones connected to the television.
Yes, I connected my Bluetooth headphones directly to my TV.
And how was that experience? Did it help?
It was amazing for hearing the dialogue, but it felt very lonely.
Yes, because you're completely cut off from the room.
Exactly. If someone else is in the room with you, you can't talk to them or share the experience.
It's not a very social way to watch a movie.
No, it's not. It feels like you're watching a movie on an airplane.
That is a great comparison. It's fine when you're traveling alone, but not when you're at home with family.
Exactly. It completely changes the vibe of movie night. I really think that movie night should be a shared experience where everyone can enjoy the story together.
I agree completely. But when you are struggling with the volume, someone is always unhappy.
Yes, usually one person wants it louder, and another person thinks it is too noisy.
In my house, my partner always wants the volume lower because she is very sensitive to loud sounds.
And you want it louder so you do not miss out on any of the dialogue, right?
Exactly. To miss out means to lose the chance to experience something good, like a key part of the movie.
I completely understand. You do not want to miss out on the jokes or the plot details just because they are whispered.
But if I turn it up, she gets annoyed by the loud sound effects, so we constantly argue about it.
So you are basically fighting over the remote control the entire evening?
Yes, we are constantly fighting for control. It's like a silent war between us.
That sounds exhausting. You must constantly fiddle with the remote during the show.
Fiddle with? Can you explain what fiddle with means?
To fiddle with something means to keep touching, adjusting, or moving it with your hands because you are not satisfied or are trying to make it work.
Ah, yes. I constantly fiddle with the buttons, pressing up and down every few minutes.
It must be really hard to focus on the actual movie when you're always doing that.
It is. I spend more time looking at the volume numbers on the screen than watching the actors.
And sometimes the situation can really get out of hand.
Out of hand. What does it mean when something gets out of hand?
When a situation gets out of hand, it means it gets out of control and becomes very difficult to manage or stop.
Oh, yes. The volume war can definitely get out of hand when we start getting frustrated with each other.
It is funny how a small thing like TV volume can cause a real argument.
It really can. It starts with a simple request to turn it down and ends with someone leaving the room in annoyance.
That is so sad. Movie night is supposed to bring people together, not drive them apart.
I know. That is why I think we need to find some real practical solutions for this.
Have you ever thought about buying a sound bar for your television?
Yes, I have thought about it, but they can be quite expensive.
They can be, but many people say they make a huge difference for clear dialogue.
How do they work? Do they have a special speaker just for voices?
Yes, most soundbars have a center channel that is dedicated entirely to dialogue.
Oh, that sounds very smart. So the voices come from the middle and the sound effects come from the sides.
Exactly. It separates the sounds so they don't mix together into a loud mess.
That sounds like it could actually solve the problem without using subtitles.
It does help a lot, but you still have to set it up correctly, which can be tricky.
Yes, technology can be very complicated for people who are not good with electronics.
That is true. Some people buy a soundbar and then realize they do not know how to connect it.
Or they connect it, but the television is still using its internal speakers at the same time.
Ugh, that is the worst. Then you get a strange echo effect that makes it even harder to understand.
I have experienced that at a friend's house. It was like watching a movie inside a big empty cave.
It sounds awful. You have to make sure the TV speakers are completely turned off.
I will have to look into getting a simple soundbar that is easy to install.
It is definitely a good investment if you watch a lot of movies and television shows.
Another thing I have noticed is that different streaming apps have different volume levels.
Ugh, that is so true. One app is incredibly quiet and another app is super loud.
Yes, you switch from one app to another and suddenly the volume level is completely different.
It is so annoying. You have to adjust your TV volume every time you change the application.
Why can't they agree on a standard volume level for all platforms?
I wish I knew, Tom. It seems like each app has its own sound rules.
It's just another thing that makes the whole experience feel very disorganized.
It really does. Sometimes I miss the old days of analog television.
Me too. You just turned on the TV, set the volume once, and left it alone.
Yes, the commercial breaks were sometimes loud, but the shows themselves were very consistent.
Now, even different episodes of the same show can have different volume levels.
That is true. It depends on who edited the sound for that specific episode.
It feels like there is no quality control for audio anymore.
They focus so much on the high-definition video that they forget about the audio.
Yes, we have beautiful 4K video, but we can't hear what the actors are saying.
It is a very strange situation when you think about it.
We have the best visual technology in history, but the basic sound is worse than it was 30 years ago.
It is ironic, isn't it? We can see every detail of an actor's face, but we have no idea what they are saying.
It is very ironic. I hope movie directors realize this and start making changes.
Some directors have actually defended their sound choices in interviews.
Really? How can they defend something that so many people complain about?
They say that they want the sound to be realistic and immersive, like real life.
But in real life, if someone whispers, I can usually hear them because I don't have loud music playing in the background of my kitchen.
Exactly. Real life does not have a dramatic soundtrack playing behind every conversation.
And if someone whispers in real life, I can ask them to repeat themselves or speak louder.
Yes, you can't do that with a television screen.
Although that would be an amazing feature for smart TVs.
A button that says, "Say that again?"
Yes, a button that replays the last 10 seconds with louder voices and subtitles turned on just for a moment.
That is actually a brilliant idea, Tom. I would buy a TV with that button immediately.
It would save us from having to rewind and search for the remote control all the time.
It would make watching TV so much more relaxing and fun.
Until then, we're stuck with our current remote control struggles.
Yes, we just have to keep playing the volume game and doing our best.
It's a small struggle, but it's one that we all share.
And sharing these small struggles is what makes life interesting, isn't it?
It really is. It's nice to know that other people are doing the exact same thing in their living rooms.
It makes us feel connected, even when we're just sitting on our own sofas.
Absolutely. It's a universal modern experience.
And it's a great topic for us to practice our English together.
Yes, discussing these daily struggles is a wonderful way to learn natural conversational English.
I agree. It's much more useful than learning formal language that people don't actually use in daily life.
It really is. These are the kinds of conversations people have with their friends and family every day.
Exactly. It's real-life English. Thinking about our struggles with remote controls and movie volume reminded me of some great natural phrases we used today during our conversation.
Oh yes, we used some really helpful expressions that are perfect for daily conversations.
We did. For example, when we were talking about actors whispering, we used the word mumble.
That is a great word. It is much more natural than saying, speak quietly and unclearly.
Exactly. You can say, "Please do not mumble, I cannot hear you."
It is a very common word that native speakers use all the time when someone is not speaking clearly.
And then we talked about how sound effects can blare through the speakers.
Yes, blare is a wonderful word for describing loud, noisy, and sudden sounds.
You often hear it used with music, radios, or car horns.
For instance, you could say, the neighbor's radio was blaring all night.
It gives a very clear picture of a sound that is too loud and annoying.
We also talked about feeling on edge during tense moments in a movie.
Yes, on edge is a perfect expression for feeling nervous or unable to relax.
You can use it in many different situations, not just when watching a film.
Like when you're waiting for important news or before a big exam.
Exactly. You could say, I felt on edge all day while waiting for my test results.
It is a very expressive way to describe that tense, anxious feeling.
Then we mentioned the phrase, to miss out, which is another incredibly useful expression.
Yes, we use it when we lose the chance to experience something positive.
Like when you cannot go to a party with your friends.
You could say, "I had to work, so I missed out on all the fun."
It is a very common phrase in both casual and professional situations.
And we also talked about how we constantly fiddle with the remote control.
Fiddle with is such a natural phrasal verb.
Yes, it is perfect for describing those small, restless movements we make with our hands.
You can fiddle with your keys, your hair, or your phone when you are bored or nervous.
For example, he was fiddling with his pen during the meeting.
It is a great action verb to add to your vocabulary.
Finally, we talked about how the volume war can get out of hand.
Out of hand is a fantastic idiom for when a situation goes out of control.
Yes, you can use it for arguments, parties, or even household chores.
Like the mess in the kitchen got completely out of hand.
It means things became too difficult to manage.
All 6 of these expressions are very common and natural in everyday English.
They really are. Using them will make your English sound much more natural and fluent.
It is much better than using simple words like loud, quiet, or angry all the time.
Yes, these words add more color and detail to your English descriptions.
I hope our listeners can try using some of these phrases in their own conversations.
I'm sure they will. It's all about practicing a little bit every day.
That is the key to improving your language skills.
Speaking of remembering new words and practicing every day, did you know we have a PDF script available for this episode?
Oh yes, the PDF script is a fantastic tool for studying.
It is. You can download it for free and use it to follow along with our conversation.
It is perfect for shadowing practice, which is when you speak at the same time as us to improve your pronunciation.
Yes, and it also helps you see how words are spelled and how sentences are structured.
You can find the link to the free PDF script in the description of this video.
And we have also pinned the link in the comment section below, so it is very easy to find.
If you are enjoying this lesson, please make sure to subscribe to our channel.
Yes, and don't forget to hit the like button and turn on notifications.
That way, you will never miss a new episode of Emma's English Talk.
We love creating these lessons for you, and your support really helps us keep going.
It really does. Every subscribe and like makes a big difference for our channel.
So thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed and supported us so far.
Yes, we truly appreciate your support and your dedication to learning English.
It is always wonderful to see our global community of learners growing every day.
It really is. It is the best part of doing this podcast.
All right, and speaking of reviewing, before we say goodbye today, let us do a quick review of our 6 target words.
That is a great way to make sure these words stay in our memories. Let us start with the first word, which was mumble.
Right. To mumble means to speak quietly and not clearly, making it hard for others to understand. An example is, the actor mumbled his lines, so I had to turn the volume up.
Perfect. And our second word was blare.
Yes, to blare means to make a very loud, sharp, and unpleasant noise. For example, the loud music blared from the television during the action scene.
Our third phrase was on edge.
Which means feeling nervous, tense, or unable to relax because you are waiting for something sudden to happen. Like, I felt on edge during the whole horror movie because of the scary sounds.
Our fourth expression was to miss out.
This means to lose the opportunity to enjoy or experience something good. For example, I did not want to miss out on the important details of the story.
Our fifth phrase was to fiddle with.
This means to keep touching, adjusting, or moving something with your hands. Like, I had to fiddle with the remote control to get the subtitles to work.
And our final expression was out of hand.
Which means getting out of control and becoming difficult to manage. For example, the argument about the television volume got completely out of hand.
Those are 6 wonderful natural expressions to practice.
They are so useful. I hope everyone tries to use them this week.
Yes, try to write a sentence with one of them in the comments.
That is a fantastic way to practice your writing skills.
Speaking of comments, we have a question for you today.
Oh, yes. We want to know about your experiences with this struggle. What about you guys? Do you experience the TV volume struggle at home?
Yes, do you constantly adjust the volume, or do you use subtitles like Emma?
Let us know in the comments below.
We really want to read your answers and hear your stories.
It is always so interesting to see how people deal with this around the world.
Yes, please share your thoughts with us.
Thank you so much for listening to Emma's English Talk today.
Have a wonderful day and happy learning.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.